He spoke. She didn't answer. The sixth sense was never loud. It didn't need to be. It crept instead through cold rooms, through broken families, through glances that never met. Released in 1999, it became an instant phenomenon, not because of gore, not because of cheap thrills, but because it planted doubt in the story, in what we saw, in what we thought we understood. By the time the twist arrived, it didn't shout. It simply whispered, "You missed everything." Director M. Night Shyamalan constructed it like a ghost story for realists, anchored in grief, shaped by silence, and coded in visual clues that most audiences wouldn't notice until the second watch or the third. And behind all of it, beneath the script, the sets, the performances, are details, mistakes, rules, and buried choices that reveal how deep the illusion went. These are 20 weird facts you didn't know about The Sixth Sense. And once you hear them, you'll start questioning what you really saw and what was always missing. Fact number 1. Bruce Willis signed on without knowing the film would change him. The role wasn't planned. It wasn't chased. It was part of a settlement. After abandoning the troubled production of Broadway Brawler, Bruce Willis owed Disney more than just money, he owed them time. As part of the quiet resolution, he agreed to star in 2 upcoming projects. One of them was The Sixth Sense. At first, it was just a formality, a way to clean up a mess. But something shifted. As filming went on, the stillness of Dr. Malcolm Crowe began to echo in Willis himself. The scenes demanded restraint, silence, a kind of presence that was less about action and more about what was missing. He stepped into the role as a favor. He walked out with a performance that haunted his career for decades. Fact number 2. The screenplay nearly disappeared into a rejection bin. When Shyamalan submitted the first draft, studio executives didn't see potential, they saw confusion. The pacing felt too slow. The story, too quiet. The twist? Most didn't even finish the script to reach it. It was quietly passed on, almost discarded. But one junior development reader decided to dig deeper. They saw something others didn't. A layered structure, a subtextual grief, a reveal so buried it demanded respect. The script was passed up the ladder until producer Barry Mendel took it and ran. Disney would later sell the rights for a modest sum, having failed to recognize the ghost they were holding. The irony? A story about being invisible was almost treated the same way. Fact number 3. Red wasn't a color, it was a system of warning signs. In most films, color is aesthetic. In The Sixth Sense, it's language. Director M. Night Shyamalan banned the color red from appearing anywhere in the film except where the world of the dead intersected with the living. It's not obvious. It's not loud, but it's everywhere once you know. The red balloon at the birthday party, the doorknob to the basement, the ghost girl's dress, each one a flare, a marker, a quiet violation of the normal. The production team reviewed every frame, every prop, every costume, ensuring red meant one thing only: something is wrong here. It wasn't just a choice, it was a code. And once it's broken, you start seeing death long before it speaks. FACT fear. One boy made everyone else vanish. Casting directors saw dozens of kids. Some cried, some shouted, some tried to mimic fear, but none of them stopped time. Haley Joel Osment did. When he walked in, he didn't overperform. He didn't blink, literally, not once. He read his scene with a stillness that felt unnatural, like the fear had already calcified inside him. After the take, the room went quiet. Then Shyamalan asked him a question. "Did you read the whole script?" Osment answered, 3 times. There was no more discussion, no callback, no comparison. He wasn't the best choice. He was the only one who understood that Cole wasn't scared of ghosts. He was scared of being alone with the truth. Fact number 5. The studio nearly spoiled the twist before the film hit theaters. In one version of an early trailer meant for international release, a series of out-of-context clips hinted at something odd about Malcolm. Too odd. It showed flashes of scenes that, strung together, nudged the audience toward the truth. Not a direct spoiler, but a crack. By the time US distributors caught it, it had already aired in several markets, and some viewers went in watching Willis with suspicion, not trust. The campaign was pulled, quietly, no comment, but the damage lingered. A story built on misdirection had nearly been undone by its own marketing team. And that's the irony: when you build a twist that delicate, even the trailer can become a liability. Fact number 6. The most iconic line in the film was almost erased. "I see dead people." 6 words that chilled a generation, and 6 words that, for a brief moment, almost never made it past editing. Some producers found the line too clean, too constructed. It felt like something made for posters, not for the raw, hushed horror of the scene. But Shyamalan disagreed. He saw it as the emotional core, not a scare tactic, but a confession. And Haley Joel Osment didn't deliver it like a punchline. He whispered it, as if it hurt to say, as if carrying that truth was heavier than being haunted. It wasn't just a line, it was a wound, and removing it would have been the film's real ghost. Fact number 7. She thought she was making a drama, not a ghost story. Toni Collette didn't approach her role as if she were in a horror film. She read the script and found something else entirely, a woman unraveling under the weight of a child she couldn't reach. She never played to the supernatural. She played to grief. On set, she stayed grounded. The fear, the doubt, the desperation in her performance wasn't about the ghosts. It was about motherhood and the heartbreak of realizing your child is slipping away and you don't know why. That's why her scenes never feel like horror. They feel like loss, dressed in silence and worry. And in the end, it was that realism that made the ghosts believable. Because the scariest thing in The Sixth Sense was a mother's helplessness. Fact number 8. The air changed when the ghosts showed up. Literally. You can fake a lot on a film set, but not temperature. Crew members began to notice it. When ghost scenes were shot, the air would turn unnaturally cold. No wind, no malfunction, just a sudden drop. Condensation formed. Actors breathed visible fog, and even seasoned camera operators felt something strange settle in the room. They checked the wiring, the ducts, the lighting, everything. No explanation. Shyamalan didn't fight it. He embraced it, told the actors to lean into the cold, to treat it not as an inconvenience, but a sign. It became part of the film's atmosphere, both on screen and off. The ghosts weren't just characters. They were something the set itself seemed to remember. Fact number 9. One ghost was cut not because she was fake, but because she was too real. There was one scene. It was filmed, almost edited, then buried. Cole enters a dim bathroom. In the mirror, a child, mimicking his movements but just slightly off. Half a beat behind, eyes wrong, skin broken. The more he moves, the more the reflection deteriorates. Test audiences reacted with a kind of discomfort that didn't fade. No fear disturbance. Shyamalan understood the line he had crossed. This wasn't horror anymore. It was psychological damage. The scene was removed, quietly. No DVD extras, no public footage, no mention in press junkets. Just one more ghost cut. Not because it failed, but because it worked too well. Fact number 10. His wardrobe told the truth before he ever could. Watch the film again. Dr. Malcolm Crowe wears the exact same outfit in nearly every scene. Not similar, identical. It's not lazy continuity. It's intentional stasis. Shyamalan instructed the costume department to freeze Malcolm in time. His shirt, his coat, his tie, they're relics. The clothes he died in. A silent visual clue that something about him refuses to change. Meanwhile, the world around him moves forward. Seasons shift. People dress differently. But Malcolm remains untouched, unaware that he's been left behind. The audience doesn't notice it at first, because neither does he. But by the end, the truth isn't just emotional. It's in the stitching. Fact number 11. Shyamalan made himself the skeptic to keep us off balance. Most directors who insert themselves into their own films do it for fun. Shyamalan did it for control. He plays Dr. Hill, the quiet physician who examines Cole, and subtly suggests something might be wrong with him psychologically. It's not a flashy cameo, it's surgical. The scene walks a tightrope. Is Cole delusional, or is he cursed? Shyamalan knew that placing this ambiguity in the hands of someone calm, unreadable, clinical would add tension. So he took it on himself, not to be seen, but to manipulate tone. He didn't just direct the scene. He became the voice of rational doubt just when the audience needed to believe. Fact number 12. The ghosts follow rules, but no one ever says them out loud. They don't float. They don't chase. They don't even know they're dead, but they follow a pattern always. They appear near trauma. They repeat final actions. They speak only when Cole engages. They don't interact with each other. They behave like fragments of memory, not entities. Shyamalan built a mythology but left it unspoken. That's why the horror works. The film never stops to explain its ghosts. It just lets them behave. And that's what makes them feel real. Because in the real world, the dead don't come with instruction. They just linger. Fact number 13. The scenes were filmed in order, so the emotions were, too. Hollywood doesn't film in sequence. It's inefficient, impractical. But The Sixth Sense broke that rule. Shyamalan insisted on shooting the story chronologically from opening to ending. No reshuffling, no shortcuts. The reason? Emotional continuity. He wanted Haley Joel Osment to grow with Cole, not jump between moods. He wanted Toni Collette to sink slowly into desperation, not leap into it from a lunch break. And Bruce Willis, unknowingly dead, needed to drift deeper into absence with every scene. It wasn't just about narrative logic. It was about truth. Performances weren't stitched together, they were lived forward. So by the time we reached the ending, the actors weren't acting anymore. They were remembering. Fact, Pais Prezice. He didn't write a story. He reverse-built a revelation. Most films ask, what happens next? Shyamalan started with the answer, he's been dead the whole time. Then he worked backward, threading deception through every frame. Characters never look at Malcolm. Conversations are one-sided. Objects never respond to him. It's not a twist added later. It's the spine. Every scene exists to serve it. The real challenge wasn't hiding the truth. It was making it visible only once the audience was ready to see it. He didn't write a mystery. He wrote a mirror, one that only reveals the reflection when it's too late to look away. Fact number 15. One line was too perfect and nearly ruined everything. I don't think I can help you anymore. It sounds like a therapist's surrender, a moment of defeat, but it was something else. It was Malcolm speaking into a void, to someone who wasn't actually hearing him. Shyamalan debated cutting the line. It felt like it revealed too much. Too early, too clean, but he left it. Not as a spoiler, but as a test. Some viewers noticed, most didn't. Because when a film trains you to accept its version of reality, you don't question who's speaking into silence until the silence answers back. Fact number 16. One ghost was inspired by a real-world sickness and a deeper betrayal. She appears briefly. Sick, pale, hiding under a bed, vomiting. To most viewers, she's just another ghost. But that girl, Kyra, was modeled on a real psychological horror, Munchausen by proxy, a syndrome where a caregiver harms their child for attention. Shyamalan didn't create her from scratch. He borrowed from an actual legend, a ghost story whispered in hospital hallways, where children died slowly under the care of those who claimed to protect them. No exposition, no monologue, just a videotape, a shivering voice, and an unfinished story. Her presence lingers because she's not fantasy. She's fact, disguised as fiction. And once you know that, you realize The Sixth Sense wasn't just about the dead, it was about the damaged. Fact number 17. He was 11 years old, but no one believed that performance was real. Haley Joel Osment was nominated for an Oscar. People applauded. Then they started asking, was it even him? Rumors spread that he had been coached line by line, that his delivery was edited from dozens of takes, that a child couldn't possibly act with that kind of restraint. They were wrong. Osment nailed scenes in long, uninterrupted takes. He never needed prompting. He understood silence, stillness, timing. But the disbelief was telling. His performance was so haunting, so exact, that grown adults couldn't accept it came from a child. Not because it was bad, but because it was too good to be comfortable. Sometimes, the most unbelievable part of a ghost story is the living. Fact number 18. The first 10 minutes reveal the twist you just didn't notice. Malcolm and his wife at dinner. They don't speak. She doesn't smile. The check arrives. She sets it down on his side of the table without ever making eye contact. At first glance, it reads like distance, resentment, a cold marriage. But on second watch, it's something colder. She isn't ignoring him. She can't see him. Shyamalan didn't hide the twist in shadow. He put it in the open, in daylight, in casual conversation that never happens. He trusted the audience to miss it, because that's the point. The Sixth Sense doesn't fool you. It waits for you to fool yourself. Fact number 19. The editing didn't just support the twist, it created a second movie. Most editors build forward. They track character arcs, adjust timing, cut for flow, but not here. Editor Andrew Monshine started at the end, the twist, and rebuilt the film in reverse. Every shot was tested against the final reveal. Did it mislead without lying? Did it feel real without breaking the rules? Could it hold two meanings at once? Moments of silence were lengthened, eye lines were adjusted, audio cues were softened to create emotional distance. The result, a film that functions as a double narrative. The first you watch, the second you feel but don't understand until it's already over. That's not just editing, that's architectural deception. Fact number 20. Some audiences walked out changed and not in the way you'd expect. After the credits rolled, some viewers didn't speak. They sat in silence, staring. Others returned the next day, not for entertainment, for answers. Then came the letters. Viewers wrote to Shyamalan describing strange dreams, flickering lights, memories they couldn't place. One said the film opened a door I didn't know I had. Another described seeing someone in their room that night, then realizing they'd passed away years before. It could have been suggestion. It could have been coincidence. But when a film convinces you to question reality for 2 hours, reality doesn't always settle back into place when it ends. The Sixth Sense wasn't just watched, it was absorbed, and for some, it never really left. Bonus fact, One sound broke the illusion and the silence. No jump scare, no crescendo, just the sound of a ring hitting the floor. It's quiet, almost too quiet. When Malcolm sees his wedding ring drop from his wife's hand, the world doesn't explode, it stops. There's no flashback, no montage, only that soft metallic click and a still hand. That moment wasn't part of the original script. It came later during reshoots, when Shyamalan realized the revelation needed a trigger, not a twist, but a physical rupture. Something you could hear, so they let it fall. One sound, one beat, and suddenly, everything the audience assumed became impossible. The ring didn't just fall off a hand, it fell off a lie. And for the first time, Malcolm heard what the dead rarely get to hear. The truth landing. You thought it was just a ghost story. Now you know it was something else. Tell us which fact changed the way you saw the film, and what other stories are hiding in plain sight, waiting to be revealed. Subscribe, stay curious, because some truths don't shout, they whisper.